Hey, hey, Vegas did me in. We're back. We're
Is
black.
this what
We're
Usher did to you?
tired. Yes.
What
Welcome to
happened?
Broad Mission. Oh,
Welcome.
Sandra. Oh
What
my
happened in
gosh.
Vegas? Tell me everything. You know the
I know,
rules.
right? Meanwhile, it
Nothing
doesn't
stays
say me
there.
because what's so hilarious is one, I don't drink, so it's not even like drink. I didn't even gamble. I meant to put at least $1 in the slot machine, and because my sisters don't gamble, we could not figure it out. I was like,
Not the
so
budgetista in front of a slot machine.
I know.
It
'Cause I
would
wanted to
ruin your
do-
reputation.
My dad said, just do at least $1. And I was like, okay. So we were there for like 5 minutes. Like, do you put it here? I was like, you know what, girl?
Your
Keep
dad
dollar.
was
So,
egging you on?
yes, he was like, you should always do.
80-something-year-old papa?
So he said, do at least $1. I did not, because I could not figure out the slot machine. But I had,
I think that's the thing where maybe you're too young to know how to work a slot machine. I think you need to be like
Girl.
20, 30 years older.
but we had such a time, honestly. So it was the first time that my four sisters and I have been on a vacation, no kids, since like college, or like 20s, So it was like such a good time. Karen flew in from Chicago. The rest of us live in Jersey, so we flew together. But we had a time, honey, because Vegas is known like they're known for their really great buffets. And they're like quirky hotels. So we stayed at like the Park MGM because that's where Usher was performing. So we went specifically to see the Usher residency, which was 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
He still got it?
But we ate a lot, girl. Because, Vegas is known, like I said, for their like buffets and things. So like the breakfast at the Bellagio, I recommend. It's so good.
Oh, the breakfast at
The
the
Wynn Hotel has like
Bellagio.
yes, the Wynn Hotel has a buffet. I would totally recommend as well. And we did like a tour because I went to Vegas one time before for a business trip, but I'd never seen the strip. So, and it was 100, an average of about 102 degrees every day, like legit. Like if
I
you look
believe
at
it.
so it wasn't no walking. So we took this thing called the Pink Jeep Tour, which I do recommend, which is really fun. It's like a 3-hour tour and it drives you along the strip. You take pictures at all the major, Vegas-y places. So that was dope. But let's talk about this Usher. So I surprised my sisters with front row seats. I couldn't tell because I don't go to a ton of concerts. I know. I don't. They were
Taking
on
any
it was
applications for the sister crew?
you know what? It was crazy because they were dramatically reduced. I don't know why. So it was Wednesday. We went on a Wednesday. And when I was looking to purchase, I couldn't get like the regular seats, That's what I was looking for. Saturday, Sunday, they kept selling out underneath me. And there was like this moment when like these seats front row, I'm like, this can't be real. Because they were like the half the price of what the other seats around them. I'm like, is there something wrong with these seats? But I said, you know what? Kiss it up to God. I booked them. And I thought, it's not really front row. It must be some other. No. I had my hand on the stage. Like, oh, this is where he'll stay. Yo, front row. When I tell you, Mandy, me and Usher high-fived twice. Like, I'm talking about for real. Yes, like literally. My
Did
sister
you like
Carol,
casually, quickly put one of your Live Richer bracelets, just transfer it onto his wrist?
First of all, why there was these ladies in the back and said, is that the budgetista? I was like, not tonight, I'm Tiffany. But so my sister Carol was like,
If you're listening, yes, it was her.
Yeah, exactly. So my sister Carol, she's the sister that sat like right next to me. And I was like, yo, when I tell you she got her life, I said, oh, Roman and Amelia are not getting their mommy back. She outside. When I tell you, we had such a good time. But it was, first of all, this fact that this man is 40 years old, you can see the joy of performance on his face. Like the joy on his face. I mean, he cried. I mean, his voice was just, we all know Usher can blow, but it's just like, you could tell that him and his dancers, that they really enjoyed themselves. And so we enjoyed ourselves. I mean, everyone, like there was a woman next to me on a date with her man and we were high-fiving when Usher touched Carol's hand. She was like, girl, let me touch your hand. That's inadvertently. He threw out them Usher bucks. Remember there was like some scandal like a year or so ago about him throwing out Usher bucks at a strip club. But he threw out Usher bucks. I was like, let me take one for a souvenir. But honestly, it was amazing. I've never sat that close to a concert. It's unfortunately, by the time y'all listen to this, I put it in my stories, but literally, I mean, there was nobody between me and the stage and Usher. It was just such an amazing time. And I'm just so glad that we have these core memories that we were able to develop. And I told my sisters, we have to do this every year. Like we have to do a trip, because I know life gets so busy, but it's like my parents watched Roman and Amelia. Karen's husband had their daughter, and she was sharing with me that like he was messaging her in the morning like, I just love you so much. You're just this amazing wife and mother. Because he was like,
yeah.
Because he was like,
I don't even get that. Enrique's just like, can you not die? Like, can you just never go away? Because I don't think I could be a single dad.
You don't realize, everybody, and now Roman and Amelia know how to call via their tablet. They was calling every day like her man. Mommy, where are you? Come
have fun
back.
with grandma. I know they didn't want to go to grandma and grandpa's.
They did.
What do they call them? What are their granny and grandpa
No,
names?
they call them grandma and grandpa, but they're just like, it's fun for like, a few hours or a day. But she was like, because they're really big on the calendar. So they show me what day on the calendar you're coming back. Roman was like, no, just one night. Just one. Oh my gosh. And my mom was like, they're fine until you call. And now they're crying again.
Aww.
I know. But we had a time. Carol was like, girl, them kids be all right. You at grandma and grandpa's house and it's beautiful. They literally, my parents' house backs up to a park, which backs up to like a water park, like pool facility. Like the kids, they live in their best life. They just, they just like being home. They're like, well, can we stay at they call me Auntie Otto's house. She's like, she's going with us too. So they were like, no. And they were like, wait, are you staying in a hotel? They wanted a tour of the hotel because they stayed at a hotel. We went to visit Karen a few months ago. They're like, give me a tour of that hotel. I'm like, so now you're hotel connoisseurs? But yeah, we had a time, honey. But and I'll share this with all my business owners.
And I love that it was like not during a holiday. Like it was just because. That's the best part.
Yes.
Because it feels special because it's your time that you guys chose to have together.
It did feel special. And honestly, too, I think it's important that like now more than ever, I mean, obviously, it doesn't mean you have to buy Usher tickets, but taking the time to live well now, you know what I mean? Like to be like, what is it a walk? Maybe it's a nap. Maybe it's, like, what is it that you can lean into? Have you not spoken to your bestie in a while? Have lunch with her, to really just lean in. And that's what I've just been trying to do is like, because sometimes I do this thing where I'll hold off, when this happens, or I'll make space later. And I'm like, no, like, let's make space now, But I will say, because for those of you, because some of y'all were messaging me like, I didn't see the invite. Well, by the time you listen to this, wasn't
premiere, the screening so amazing?
I know.
It was great. I loved the documentary.
The screening will have happened yesterday by the time y'all hear this. But it doesn't mean still go to Netflix, still watch Get Smart with Money. But when I tell you, I was there because I was working. You know what I mean? Like, because the screening was happening in a few days. And so I would still have to wake up at 6 and work. And so sometimes I was sharing with my mentees and that sometimes that like, that's what it looks like. It shouldn't always look like that. Like if you're not launching, you shouldn't be in launch mode. But it was, I was, when I say working, like making sure the venue, it was myself and like 3 other women on my team, but still it was a lot. Making sure the invites went out, making sure the venue is properly, they have everything they need, making sure that like the people who are going to be special guests have their invite. But yeah, so I will ask one favor of y'all, Brown Ambition. Well, you should listen anyway because we talk about money. I've already seen the screener. I'll just keep it light because I don't want to get in trouble. But, I really enjoyed it. I will say it's very feel good. I'll just leave it at that because Netflix has already said it's feel good. It's on. But if you go to Netflix.com, log into your account, now more than ever, this week in particular, I would really love if all of us watch Get Smart with Money. So we can discuss it. You can, matter of fact, watch Get Smart with Money and then tweet us, at the BA podcast or Brown Ambition podcast on, Insta, tweet us some questions, and I'll answer. You can also tweet me the Budgetnista or the Budgetnista on IG and we can answer next time. But yeah, I want to get as many people watching this first week. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to make top 10. You know what I'm saying?
Because we don't do things halfway.
No, we don't.
You don't know how to do things halfway.
No.
Also, you've thrown this like party together. Like it's all come together so quickly too. So, right? Because when you first mentioned that it was quickly premiering, there wasn't a party planned. And then the next week it's like, so come to my party.
Yeah, Because they, with Netflix, it was like, I had an NDA, so I couldn't say until they shared I could say. And then they didn't have a date yet. And they told us like the date, a few days before I shared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, and I'm
That's show business, baby. You know
when I tell you, hey, it's been, so I was at like literally 6 a.m. like, okay, Logan, yes. Okay, do that. Okay, Akeisha. Okay, Rose. And then still like having to have fun during the day and then party at night. I mean, so your girl it's been a whirlwind, but it's also just been like, I don't know. So I always talk about like, the thing before the thing, you know what I mean? Like where something will happen and it's in preparation for like this other big thing that's going to happen. And I'm so good at being in preparation for that I feel like a fish out of water now that the thing is here. You know what I mean? I'm having like, I'm going to take like a super long walk today. So in silence, so I can absorb the actual thing that I'm in now, because I'm like, Tiffany, you've done so many things before the thing. This is the thing, like we're here now. I want you to absorb the fact that like, this is happening. You work really hard. There's just, there's other things to come, but like learning to like be in the moment and to be present, because it's going to be crazy the next couple of days. So that's what I told myself today. I'm just going to take like this long walk and just like at the park and just absorb the fact that like, look how far you've come, Tiffany, from like super shy, geeky, knobby knee Tiffany. Well, actually still the same, but like, look how far you've come to like where you are now. And so like my mom called me this morning and that's what made me pause, because I could hear it in her voice, the reflection of like what I've accomplished. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing like hearing it in your parents' voice who were kind of disapproving of like, what is this Buddhista you're doing? I'm like, Mommy, the word is budget. It exists in the English language. Like, why can't y'all, I can see if you got Nista wrong, but budget, sis, you say budget. And now she's like, send me all those things. My friends have been posting it in our group chat, because all the moms are in WhatsApp, and that's why you get all those forwards. Like, Jesus loves you, pass this on. You're like, okay, Mommy. And so she said, send it to me so I can send it to everybody. I was like, oh. And she's like, make sure you put Tiffany the Budgetnista. I said, oh, sis. So we're recognizing. Because before it was like, I couldn't believe. I was like, look at Sylvia. Okay. But they have to come around. So if your parents have not come around, keep going. Because parents sometimes be the number one haters, but they're also the number one lovers. They just want you to be safe. But yeah, I know I'm rambling, but I'm tired. Go ahead, baby. What's up with you?
No, I just want to say too, like the beauty of your arc, like your journey, is that you've always just been your authentic self. And I think that that's the thing that really resonates with me and so many others, is that, success can come if you are just yourself. Like you don't need to imitate anyone else. You don't need to do something that you don't feel good about doing. Just follow that good feeling and do what you love and help people and keep other people, and being of service to them front of mind. And you can still find incredible success, and the sky is the limit. Like, come on. So congratulations again, always in awe of you and proud.
Thanks.
Well, it all makes it seem like I can't believe you are where you are, but I can, because I see the work, like you're not an overnight success. Like this has been years and years and years and years.
15 years.
Yes. Since that Budgetnista blog back in 2013, whenever I saw that with the bicycle. Come on now. It's been a minute of watching your journey, and it's, no one deserves it
you
more.
were the first big time interview I ever did. I was like so geek. Because man, you were working at, no, it was Insider first.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Before
I was like,
Yahoo.
OMG. Okay. She's a big time reporter. And she's going to
You followed me wherever I went. Then Yahoo Finance, I was like, gotta have Tiffany on.
Yeah, that
and then
was
Magnify
huge,
Money, you guys were doing a partnership.
Yes,
I was like,
and you got us. Mandy and I have been rocking. You don't even know. Okay.
Yes.
We've been rocking
all
for a
facets
while.
of life.
Yes. And then we like met up at FinCon and became like besties. I remember we were like, forget all the conference workshops. We just like we took like a long stroll. We were like dating, like took a long stroll through the streets of New Orleans, got to know each other. And then Mandy proposed, was like, I propose we do a podcast. I was like, I do.
We are coming up on our 7th year anniversary in just a couple of weeks here, which is wild. That plus wild. I'm going to be at FinCon next week. So it's like, Yeah, it's that reflection time. I went back. Do you ever do that? You go back to your old emails and like try to just remember what was going on at the time. So I went back to 2015 or 2014 when we launched Brown Ambition, 2015 when we launched Brown Ambition. And I was like those early emails where we were like scheduling when you were going to come to the Yahoo office. And I was trying to figure out which office we can sneak into to record. We used to record on Sundays.
Yes.
We used to do more than one episode a day.
Yes.
I was like, can't
Remember,
imagine.
I used to love going to Yahoo office because, first of all, they had all the snacks. Man, it's like, are you
All
going to
the
steal my
snacks.
office's snacks? I'm like, I am. I brought my book back.
Yes, the kind bars to sit. No, please. I miss them snacks too. Man, yes, it's all about reflect. It's a beautiful time to reflect too. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's like sit in the moment. And speaking of, I thought about you in the same time I'm thinking about Serena Williams because everyone's watching her at the U.S. Open right now, and she is just. Like she's having her like farewell tour, but she hasn't said when she's going to technically be done, but that's fine. But just incredible. And also it's like, you know, the interview, was it Gail King that she was interviewing with after one of her matches, the second one. And Gail's like, are you surprised by the level that you're playing at? And Serena's face is just like,
Girl.
but I'm Serena.
Yeah. I love that.
When you get to that level, and I feel like Tiff, you're at that level, like, are we surprised that you are on a Netflix? Like, there's not surprises anymore. It's just like, of course, yes, but you're Tiffany, you know?
You know what I learned from Dr. Green? Like, she said to me, because I used to be like, I almost not ashamed, but like, of course, I worked really hard to achieve a thing, but I had a hard time absorbing the fact the thing you work for is here. Because I would always be like, I don't know if I'm going to make a New York Times bestsellers list. And she's like, but all the work you've put in has been toward that. And she said, and I think I had mentioned something about like, but I just want to remain humble. And she was like, I think that, especially women, mistaken what humility truly is. And she said, to be humble is not to reflect less. And to be humble is not to reflect more than. She said, so you're not trying to be arrogant and you're not certainly trying to be insecure. She said, humility is to take up the exact amount of space. And some people's spaces in certain instances is bigger or smaller, depending. So meaning like, for me to say, oh, you know, it's just Netflix. She said, that's not humility. You know, that's just you shrinking to say, this is a big deal. This is Netflix. She's like, that's humility. You're taking up the amount of space, the appropriate amount of space. You get to fill that space, Tiffany. And so I just remembered that like, I don't have to shrink. And then I don't have to, like, my worry is always like over pushing and becoming arrogant. She's like, well, that's not you anyway. But my concern is, Tiffany, I don't want you to shrink. That's not humility. Take up the exact amount of space. And so that's what I try to keep in mind, that like, that's what humility is that it's like that middle way, like taking up the exact amount of space allotted for that occasion, for that accomplishment, for that time that you are in life. And so I'm like, I'm just taking up the space that's been set aside for this.
Yeah. It's not bragging. It's just facts. Like, yeah, I'm Tiffany Willie Joe the Legend used to have a Netflix documentary premiering September 6th on Netflix. That's just facts. It ain't bragging. But no, huge success. I cannot wait to celebrate you. I'm going to make it happen. Husband doesn't know it yet, but I will make it happen. He's going to come home early that day to watch the baby so I can come to Newark. So excited for you. Can we talk? Last week something was brewing on the TikTokies. Not really TikTok, but you know, we love Tabitha Brown. We're huge fans. We've been trying to have her on the show for a minute. And as y'all know, yes. So you know what happened with her with Food Network. So let's talk about it. Cause I just thought it was it's still happening. Like the beautiful thing about owning your own platform, like Tab has, you know, she has this huge following on social media. She's built it organically herself, and she doesn't necessarily need to work with other brands to reach her people. And that is what's so damn powerful. She doesn't need publicists. Like she can just speak to her audience. And she, in spite of that, has partnered with, like, we've seen her do these huge launches at Target. She also had a Food Network show called It's Complicated.
Which I hate that name, but I love Tab, but I hate that name.
Yeah. And it's about something about vegan food. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah. I don't have Food Network. If it's on Hulu, let me know. Anyway, so it was just premiering. And then I think like a week after it premiered, she goes on TikTok like early this week or over the weekend, and just very like blind item style, like wasn't saying any names, but
Yes.
was like, I just need y'all to know in her Tab way. I can't imitate her. She cannot be imitated.
The nice nasty.
The nice nasty was just saying how I keep telling these people, but they don't seem to believe me. But let me remind you, I'm always going to be who I am. I cannot be changed. And when I feel like I am being pushed to change in a way that's, and this is me paraphrasing, you guys can go check it. We'll post a link to the video. But she's essentially saying that like, people have tried to change me. It hasn't worked. I keep saying this is who I am. I'm authentic. This is me. Vegan Tab, happy Tab, kind, caring, loving Tab, Southern Tab, who she is and who she fundamentally is can't be changed. And at the very end of the video, she's like, by the way, my new show, It's Complicated, will now be on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. instead of where it was prime time, Thursdays at 9 p.m.
Which is prime time.
Just prime time, right? So something has happened.
Yes.
Someone's lost their damn mind at Food Network. And it seems like they have tried to give her some sort of like, I don't know, notes on how she should change or whatever. And she was like, hell nah. And they tried to silence her by putting her in this like graveyard slot. Not even graveyard, but like 1 p.m. is like diners, drive-ins, and like that's like rerun crap. 15th episode of Chopped, comes on at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. So I just want to say fully support Tab. Obviously, we don't know everything that's happening, but I want to get your thoughts on that too, Tiffany. Like, how did you feel when you saw that?
When I saw it, at first when she said those things, I said, "Oh, who made?" Meanwhile, me and Tab are like the same age. I'm 42. I think she's 42 or 43. But I still call her Auntie Tab because that's the energy. I said, "Who made Auntie Tab mad?" And then when she said the thing at the end, I was like, "Oh," because if I'm being honest, so I've been approached many, many, many times over the last like 10 years to like have a show or to work with because there's like pre approach. There's like production companies that will reach out. So typically a production company kind of will reach out. They'll do some reels with you. Like they'll do like almost like a mini clip of a show they think that they would want to do. And then they'll pitch you to like networks and streaming platforms, yada, yada, yada. So I've been approached many times by production companies. And, some of them I'm like, like I'll give you just two examples. One, it was by this huge production company owned by huge celebrity. If I say their name, you'd be like, oh my God. And, but the platform, that they wanted me to be a host on the show that had already existed from the year before. And I just was like, okay, let me watch. And I was like, I was giving very much, the other host was giving very much Simon Cowell. Like that host was the meanie and I was supposed to be the nicey. And the thing is, they already had a sister on that show. So I was like, well, what about, you already have a sister. You reached out to me for it. And they're like, oh, that the sister and the other person weren't getting along. I'm like, oh, so you're getting rid of the sister. You're looking for another brown girl. And I said, well, I don't know because I don't necessarily like, I'm going to show up nice, but he seems kind of mean. And so they're like, that's what we want you to come to balance it out. So then they sent me, but I told them it just didn't seem like a fit for me because I don't like, I'm not a tough love girl. I'm a love girl. And so I was like, no, they're like, well, how about you could just come on as like a guest to like, like a guest helper or whatever from time to time. And I said, okay, I'm open to that. So I won't be the main host. I could be this guest helper. They sent me the contract. Girl, when I tell you this contract, it said in it, like, cause I read my contracts. Obviously I sent it to my attorney too. Shout out to you, Tony Moore. She's amazing. So I always read them and then Tony will read it and then she sends me notes. I call them her homegirl notes cause Tony's a sister and Tony will break down like, girl, section ABC says, don't do it. Section, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I read it and it said like one section, she's like, girl, what the hell is this? It said, we are allowed to make up stories about you, humiliate you and your family, like verbatim.
Oh my
and I was
God.
like, what the hell? So I reached back out to the production company. I was like, what is this? They're like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. We sent you the wrong contract. That's for the guests on the show that we're helping with their finances. And I was like, so you mean to tell me that you are asking people to come on the show to get help, but then you are also telling them that you get to make up stories if it's not salacious enough, humiliate them and their families, and you want me to continue with this, with this show And so I said, absolutely not. I said, this is wrong. And I remember the woman on the phone, she was ashamed of herself. And, she was not the owner of this production company. So I did not do the show. But I will say I saw somebody else that I know did the show. With no shade, but I just was like, that won't be me. So I said no. And then another production company reached out. The woman who owned it, well, I won't get that much detail. Anyway, it was a production company, and the people are really, really, really wealthy and super well known. And they reached out. And so one of the things I want, like if I'm going to be a part of a show at the level where I am now, I'm wanting what they call executive producer credit. That's like back end. And I'm wanting a piece of that. And they were like, absolutely not. And I said, I don't want to just show up as talent, meaning like, yes, you get a talent fee, but I also want a production credit, but also to be paid for what I'm putting out there. And they were just like, no. And they kept like courting me. And I remember just being like, here's the thing. I don't need it. Honestly, I have no desire to be quote unquote famous. I have successful businesses already. If I never do a show, I will continue to be successful. But I just remember being like blown away. I remember telling the woman distinctly, I said, I'm not a 16-year-old wannabe rapper trying to get put on and willing to sign my life away for that. Why would I do that? You know what I mean? So what you're essentially asking me is to make this rich person richer. And then I get to dance on whatever streaming platform. No. And so, so I remember, they courted me for a long time. And it was funny because I wonder if she's listening. I'm like, hey, girl, hey. Because she was like, yeah, but with us, because the name attached is so big, we can likely get you on Netflix. And meanwhile, I'm like, girl, here behind the ear, here now. So this was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So I did sign with the production company. What I did get my EP credit, and I did get my large chunk of of ownership, so that way I can get paid front end and back end. And I waited for that. And so I just say all that to say,
are you a producer on the Netflix movie documentary?
No. That was like, the truth is how the way that worked out is that production company, it wasn't sold to Netflix at first. It was, they just reached out and said, we're doing this documentary. I had done research on them, Atlas Films, and I loved the other documentaries that they had done. So I just said yes off GP of like, oh, I'll be in this random doc. And then later, Netflix was like, I think came into the picture. And I was like, oh, well, that was a good choice to say yes. Yeah. So that wasn't, that wasn't the initial. It was just, it was just this doc. And just so for you guys know, like the documentary follows these four people. Well, one of them is a couple, one group. But these 4 people who are struggling with their finances, and they assign them a coach. And so I'm one of the coaches. And actually, my woman was a dream catcher. She lives in Jersey. She's so nice. We were just texting. I got to text her after this. We were just texting the other day. And you just get to see where they started and where they finished. And it's just like, it's beautiful. And it's aligned with how I show up. Not just me. The other coaches are Mr. Money Mustache. He's awesome. Paula Pant, she's awesome. And then Ross Mack, he's awesome. I love that there were so many people of color. 3 out of the 4 coaches were people of color. So I was like, I'll get into it. 2 of us were women. Ross Mack is a Black man. Paula, she's Asian. Well, let me not even say, because I'm not sure what. Do you know Paula? I'm not sure what
Paula
Paula's ethnicity. Yeah.
Yeah, I know her. I don't know what her ethnicity is. South Asian?
Yeah. I think I want to say, but I love the fact that that to me was awesome. And then my woman was Latina, who I was helping. She's Dominican. Al, who I was helping. And so you just got like and Ross helped, the guy he was helping, was a Black man. And so I just love that there was such diversity in the casting, in the coaching. And what I love too, and I'm not going to give too much away, but the way we all approached our person was very much in alignment with what I said. I don't believe in shaming people, because I would never have been a part of something like that. And so I love that, not just the way I coach, but when I watched it, I was like, okay, this is great. There's a shift happening where we don't have to yell at people, make them feel all terrible and say, you can't afford it, or, you can't buy any lattes until you pay off your mortgage, or whatever people say.
To tear people down before you build them back up. That whole makeover style is so 90s, early 2010s. Yeah, it's gone. I love that.
Yes.
I love the new tone, the Queer Eye tone. I feel like Queer Eye is like one of those makeover shows, makes you feel better watching it. Yes. They don't tear people down. They help them. And I don't feel like it doesn't sound like this will be that way either. I can't wait to see it. There's enough bullshit and meanness in the world. And that's why, and again, it's about owning your audience and your platform, Tiff, which you do. Like, you don't need that shit. And people need you, like, they need to reach the audience that you have already reached, right? Which is why they're contacting you. And I mean, and I think for Tab too, it's so clear that she is at peace with who she is. And how can you not be at peace with who you are when your audience has already found you and loves you and will follow you wherever you say to go?
We're here for Tab. Nobody, I don't care. I'm watching the show.
I'll just watch her grainy 90-second TikToks. I'll watch that all day. I don't need it crumple plated.
Yes,
I don't even have Food Network.
And for those of you in business, please let that be like a lesson to you that like, is it the longer way? Because Tab's been at it. Because what is it, like just 3 years ago, she was driving Uber. And if you read her book, which I have, it's been years, if not longer than me. I think it's been longer than 15 years of her working toward. And so because of that, like that's what it looks like. Sometimes some people blow up overnight, but for most people who are really successful, they have to take the long route because you have to collect a lot of lessons along the journey. But yeah, as a result, Tab can go somewhere else. Like, I was sharing this with my mentees, little plug, mymentortiffany.com we have like 1,600 mentees there, is that I teach them that like, oh, you're in. Oh, that's right.
I love Thoughtful Thursday.
I teach them that, like, because honestly, I have been. Oh, you do? Oh, thanks. So what I've been doing, like what I've been doing with this whole Netflix behind the scenes, like launch and marketing plan, is I've been sharing like I call it like the behind the curtain aspect of what's happening with them. And so like they've been seeing like along the way, like, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Here's how you can apply it to your business. So I've been sharing that all week with them. But one of the things I teach is that like, you really want to get to a point of like excellence and then, owning access to your audience, because at a certain point now, I want to become one of one, that it's either you get me, and if you can't afford me, you go get more money. That's it. There is no, oh, we'll just get ... Because there is no, like, either you get Tab or you go get more money, because there's nobody that you can say, well, we won't have Tab, we'll have somebody else. There is no substitute. She's one of one. And that's what I'm working toward, because when you become one of one, then there's way less competition and you really get to call your own shots. And I get to be like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, I was always like that from the very beginning, that like, for example, you'll never see me sell credit cards. Like, I'm not anti-credit card, because I have credit cards. I use them wisely, and I will teach you how to use credit cards wisely. And if I was doing business, that'd be different. Like, you might see me one day in an American Express commercial or whatever, but about business. But personally, I'm not here to say, get this particular card, because I feel like credit cards can kind of be like a gateway drug, and I don't want to be a pusher. Now, I'm going to share with you how best to use them if you have cards, because like I said, I certainly use them. But like, that's just not me. From the very beginning, when I had no money, it was one of the few types of companies that would reach out to me. I remember distinctly my friend Cabral telling me, I was like, what do you think? I said, it is a card that I use. And he was like, Tiffany, once you start saying yes to something on the fringe, you very quickly go all the way to the other side. And I just didn't want to compromise. And so from then until now, like, I haven't had to, and and I still haven't. And so, yeah, I'm working on becoming one of one, where it's like, you either go get me or you go get more money, or you just have to sit this thing out, because there is no substitute, so work toward that. And that's what Tab has done. That's why she can say what she want to say.
Y'all are both alien superstars.
Well, I'm not quite at that level. I'm like, we
yes,
work
you
toward
are.
that.
Don't give me an opportunity to wax poetic about Beyonce's album, because I will. Too late. It's already happening. Listen, why I love Alien Superstars so much. If you listen to the lyrics, I'm one of one. Don't even try to compete with me. Nobody else can think like me. What I love about that lyric, anyone can sing it, because truly no one can think like we do. Like, we are one of one. We are all alien superstars. And I don't think that the message is like, you have to be a Beyonce, but like, it's unlocking that alien superstar in yourself. When I tell you I listen to these lyrics and I feel them, I love it, because like, that has been, it's the thing that I've known. It's the thing that we learn as children watching Barney. Like, we're all unique, and, we all have our own identities, and it's beautiful to celebrate our differences. But it's a thing that you don't truly, like, for me, start to really like sit with and sink into, like seep into your bones and your DNA until you're older and like at this point in your life. And and that's why I'm like, when I shout you out, Tiff, I shout out your authenticity, like your one of oneness, because you don't try to be anyone else. And like, nor do I. And just then you become cozy with who you are. And like, feet up above your sins. I love myself. Goddamn. Sorry. They just come out of they just come out of me. But that's the whole message, I feel like, of this album and these two songs is really about your unique self. And we all have that inside of us, you know? Yeah. You're already an alien superstar. Come on now.
Okay, that's
what's
why humility
take
taking
for
up
you
the
to
space.
think that?
Yes. No, you're right.
I'm
working on. Yes, take up the space. That's true humility. Take up the full space allotted. I'm like, you're right. I'm an alien superstar. I'm one of one.
Don't make me start hyping you up, because I'll never stop. And I hype myself up too. Okay, you got to back ourselves.
Hey, BA fam. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So a few years ago, I was really struggling in business. I mean, I had been struggling for like a couple of years. I was so overwhelmed, and I knew I needed help. And so it took me forever to figure out how to find a therapist, where to look, who to ask for. And so that's why I love that we are sponsored by BetterHelp, right? With the good sometimes comes really just the overwhelm. So with growth and with change and all the things that have been happening in business and in life, I really leaned into therapy, and it's made all the difference. If you're thinking about getting therapy, try BetterHelp. It's a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. You're going to get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time. And our Brown Ambition listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Brown Ambition. That's BetterHelp.com/Brown Ambition. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Brown Ambition. Hey, BA fam. Did you know that if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business? That's true when your business is growing fast, and even more true when there's a lot of uncertainty. Lord knows I know. Inflation is running rampant. Supply chains are clogged, and the labor market is tight. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, planning, budgeting, and of course, inventory, so you can manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need is all in one place. In 2022, profit is the new growth, child. Preach! So NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your manual business processes, and see where to save money. Know your numbers, know your business, and get to know how NetSuite can be the source of truth for your entire company. Now, right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. So head to netsuite.com/Brown Ambition right now. That's netsuite.com/Brown Ambition. netsuite.com/Brown Ambition. And we're back. We're back. And now it's time to boost or break or boost or break or boost or break or boost or break. Are you gonna boost? Is you gonna break? It's boosty breaky time, Mandra. Are you going to brown boost today, or are you going to brown break today?
I'm going to boost, and I'm going to boost my damn self. I'm so excited and so proud of something that I have been working on. So as you guys know, I am a career and negotiation expert. I live for the sweaty palm, knees shaking, phone slipping out your hand because your hands are so sweaty moment when you're negotiating compensation. I love negotiating my contracts now that I'm doing like partnerships and brands and stuff like that. It's fun for me. I like leaning into that fear, and I love coaching other women in how to negotiate. And one of the things that I've realized this past year, what I'm getting often asked is, so what do I say? What are the exact words? Let me get my pen out. This is why if you coach with me, or I coach you anyway, work with me, is I give everyone, I have a wonderful transcript system that will transcribe our entire phone call, and then people can take it, because so often what I'm saying is like, here's what you say to get the thing that you want. And I've done that, but trying to reach like a larger audience and trying to make myself more accessible to more people because I don't do a lot of one-on-ones anymore and the price went up. So I created the Nail the Negotiation Guide, 19, I just added 2 more, 19 word for word negotiation scripts. So everything from how do I negotiate a raise at my current job to how do I, of course, negotiate a new job offer? What do you say when they say, oh, but you said that you were okay with this price, this salary range when we first talked, and you think that you lowballed yourself? What do you say? What do you say if you're in the middle of a negotiation and you get a competing job offer and you want to bring that in? What do you say if you want a signing bonus? What do you say if you want to know if they have equity? I have worked so hard putting together this guide. And I am putting it out into the world. By the time you guys hear this episode, it will be available at mandymoney.com. So you can get the guide. You can get the guide, get the negotiation scripts, use them, please. Like, all I want in the world is for people to feel more confident asking for what they're worth. And I hope with these words that I'm giving you from my own brain, from years of negotiating, from 10xing my salary from 30K to 300K, from negotiating close to $200,000 in additional sign-on bonuses and equity over the years, from negotiating an average 39%. Yes, I did the math. On average, every time I negotiated a salary, on average, I was getting 39% more. I have put all of those words into this guide.
Oh, and God. Like, honestly, I just hope you know, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not really great at negotiating. I'm buying it. So what is Mandy? Like, Mandy, you don't understand. Like, I think people think that if you're doing well, you must be good at everything. No, I'm really bad at negotiating because, I could be self-deprecating, like, oh, no, I am. So Mandy, Mandy, MONEY, mandymoney.com.
Go to the website and then just go to the shop, mandymoney.com.
On your first purchase.
/shop. Thanks, Tiff. Yeah, I'm so excited. I haven't done anything like this before.
Okay, so there's a shop button on mandymoney.com.
Yes, there is. And you can get the Nail the Negotiation Guide there. Please. You can also have some freebies and other stuff that you can grab. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. I've been working hard and my VIP Mandy Money Makers.
Girl, I'm excited. I'm like, forget Mandy. I'm excited for myself. I can't wait to get it.
Thank you. So
honestly,
brown boost for that.
No, that's huge. And I think, sometimes you're so good at something that you don't realize that something is really special because people don't know how to, because I don't. And it's so funny because that's your boost because I guess it's a break is similar. It's like a boosty break. It's not similar, but it's aligned with that. And I'm so happy to receive that because I'm needing that. So Mandy, MANDI, money.com. Go to shop and pick it up because I'm going to. And here's my boost, my break is like valuing, or my rate sheet needs to be increased dramatically. So I was talking to my my financial advisor, shout out to you, Anjali, and I was sharing with her how much my keynote is. And she was like, that's it. It should be double. And I was like, double? That seemed like a lot. I'm just going to be candid. My current keynote price is $50,000. And I thought it was a lot of money. And she's like, it should be 100. And I was like, 100, Anjali, for a keynote for me? And she was like, yes. She said, I have over 50 clients, and some of them, they're all high wealth, high net worth individuals. And some of them, a handful of them are have a similar business model to you. And I said, okay. And she said, and not one of them charges less than $100,000 for a keynote. And I said, okay. And she said, the difference though between you and them? I was like, no. She said, they're all less qualified and white men. And I was like, what? She was like, all of these, the handful of guys from my clientele that they're white men, they charge double. They don't have New York Times bestsellers. They did not write a law in the state of New Jersey. They're not NAACP award nominees. They don't have a streaming documentary on Netflix. They weren't the first Black woman to cover Money magazine. They don't have Webby awards. Okay, Brown Ambition, right? So she was like, she's like, I've been working with you for the last 3 or 4 years, Tiffany. And if I stack up your accomplishments in business to other folks, and not to say they don't deserve their 100,000 for a keynote, but she was like, you damn sure are late to the game in deserving that. And so that's why when I'm not just saying like, oh, cause it's Mandy, I'm going to buy. No. I'm like, yes, Medra, teach me the ways. I am literally, as soon as we hang out, I'm going to be your first purchase because, I have a hard time with like negotiating because I do have sometimes even some brands that will push back on paying. And I want to be able to say, because the truth is I'm going to get this book and then I'm going to have my admin, Rose, get her own copy. And don't wait, Rose, don't worry, we're going to pay for it. Because I want her to start to learn that when a brand reaches out or a place for me to speak, I want her to take over negotiating like this is Tiffany's rates. And I want her to have the language necessary. So I'm just like, Mandy's helping all of us with this new book. We about to be rich.
You make me want to do a whole chapter on brand deals.
That's awesome.
Well, I love the idea of having, I should, maybe the next edition. But I want, what I feel is powerful about having a template and a script is even if you don't end up using the word for word thing, but having language that people can see, like even for you and Rose to sit down and work on. So what are the most common pushbacks or questions that we get from people? And then here's what our canned sort of like go-to response will be, fill in the blank. And just having that because like, Rose being an assistant maybe hasn't been put in that position before. So equipping her with that. When you have the language and the words, you just go in feeling more confident. I kind of, have you ever heard that, what is it? Cyrano? That old, like, is it a musical? Is it Shakespeare? I don't know. But it's the one where he writes the love letters for his friend and that gives the friend the confidence to like go woo whatever her name is. I'm sure it's very beautiful. And I feel like it's similar, if you feel like you're lacking that confidence to actually have someone give you those words and to feel more confident, like, hell yeah. I love that. And I mean, like, of course you should. What I love about that anecdote too, about your financial planner telling you, that's something that I could never have told you because I don't work with people who make that much money, right? But what you've just proven again is like surrounding yourselves with people who do have a lens into the rooms that you are now working your way in, because they help you level up and they help you understand your worth. And that's nothing that you're ever going to get from like a Glassdoor.com. They don't have Glassdoor.coms for the budgetnistas and the influencers of the world, So I feel like that's highly motivational to me too. And for anyone listening, who maybe feels like, oh, $100,000, I can't relate. But what you can relate to is what you can get from that is the importance of speaking to other people who are at a different level, who work in different fields and interact with people that are, where you want to be, because they can help you understand how to navigate and understand what to expect. And I hope you immediately, raise that keynote rate.
Yeah. And honestly, like because I can understand thinking 100, because 15 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have been like, are you crazy? I'm never going to make, that much. Because my intention was to go from 50 to 65, which even now, I'm not going to lie, I'm blown away every time somebody says yes to 50. I'm like, wow, really? So I'm still in the like, I'm still adjusting to 50, so to jump to 100 is scary. And she was just like, no, Tiffany, like I'm telling you, because to your point, and I think to me, and this is like, our kind of like our core lesson here, it is so important to talk about finances openly, because had I not shared that with Anjali, she could not have given me that feedback. It's like going to your doctor and not telling them like, my knee's been aching for 3 months and I've got this pain in the back of my neck, not knowing that that's related and that could be sign of like meningitis or something like that. It's important that with the financial or the people that you work with, whether it's your business, whether it's your personal finance, you give the whole picture. I'm going through a divorce. I'm thinking about having a baby. We're working on IVF, because knowing the whole picture allows like the people who are helping you to be like, oh, now that I know that, my advice shifts to when it comes to your finance or your business or whatever, your career, So like if you're working with Mandy as a career coach, right? So if she knows that you're actually, trying to have a baby, and she might be like, oh, actually knowing that, I want you to do this instead, So like, it's just, I think that is like a huge, huge lesson to end on today, which is that like, not being afraid to ask for help, finding people on a team that you can really trust, sharing the whole complete picture, because I would not have known, I always felt lucky to get 50. And she's like, girl, they're probably looking like, we got that girl again. And so she was like, no. And so, so yeah, I just think that, yeah, this is just so, and it's just so perfectly aligned. I feel like me and Mandy be like lockstep, like, wait, I need a thing. Mandy's like, just did it. I'm like, oh, you did? And Mandy's like, trying to figure out a thing. I'm like, just finished that. She's like, oh, you did? So honestly, when I tell you, I'm literally like, if you just told me that there was a random girl who was a career coach and she had this guide, I would be going to get it. I'm not getting it because it's Mandy. I'm getting it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this so badly. And it's like, oh, the extra bonus is it's Mandra.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so exciting to me too. And I will be like, Tiffany doesn't need this. She's Tiffany the Budgetnista. But you're right. All of us have our strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy it. I'm excited to hear the feedback. I can't wait to hear how much more money y'all get with these scripts. Okay. So mandymoney.com/shop.
You should create one of those, you know how like when people do fundraisers at school, you should have people so that way you can show how much money, you know what I mean? You should do one of those
like
thermometer.
Temperature. Yeah, the thermometers.
Yes.
Like
you should, because that would be really powerful. Lord. Like I've helped, 10,000 women make over $100 million. Like that's really powerful. You should ask people like to fill out some form so it can like generate that number for you.
Ooh, okay, maybe I will. But speaking from the queen of platform and marketing and launching, yes, maybe I should. My whole plan was just talk about it on the podcast, and then that's done. Yeah, I'm very excited.
No, you should, because honestly, I would love like a monthly. Imagine you did a monthly update, Mandy, on your socials, where you show that you go to Canva and you show that whatever the measuring stick is, and you say like we're up to 300 women, and they've made an additional. This month was an additional $300,000. Girl, because
that's what I want to know. How much more money have people gotten? Yes. And
illustrate your Oprah.
Million.
Yes. Illustrate your Oprah. That we're like, oh my gosh, we hit $1 million more in the hands of women as it relates to their businesses or careers or whatever. That's huge. Honestly, you should do a monthly. It should be like the same day every like the 15th or the 1st or whatever of every month where you're like, and call it something. Cause you know how I have Thoughtful Thursdays at mymentortiffany.com, right? So you should call it something where it's like, Mandy Money Update or whatever, you know what I mean? Something so that way we all know, like on the 1st of the month or the 30th or whatever, we tune in to your platforms to see like, oh my gosh, what's the number? I'm telling you, that's how you illustrate your Oprah.
Oh, that sounds so cool. I'm definitely going to do that. Hell yeah. I'm like thinking about, I need to go through all my emails, my testimonials, and like add up all the numbers. How much beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Oh, thanks, Tiff. Well, I cannot back to Tiffany and Get Smart with Money. By the way, I love that they just like casually ripped off your book title. It's fine.
For those who don't know, my book is called Get Good with Money, and they love the title so much. I was like, yeah, but it's mine. So they called it Get Smart with Money. I'm like, that's cute.
Yeah. The trademark attorney's like, damn it. Just close enough, but not too close. September 6th, y'all. So if you're listening to this podcast on Wednesday, it means yesterday was the premiere of Tiffany's documentary on Netflix. So get your cousins, your brothers, your neighbors log in, go to Netflix, stream, Get Smart with Money, and support Tiffany. Tag us in any post. So tag at The Budgetnista, tag at Brown Ambition Podcast on IG, hit her up on Twitter, The Budgetnista on Twitter, at The BA Podcast on Twitter for us, and let us know what you think of Tiff's Netflix
get some
debut.
Hours in. In order to get to the top 10, they look at hours. So watch, do dishes and watch. Let that thing run so you can watch. Like, don't just peek your head in. Watch.
Watch it all. Okay. Congrats, Tiff. I can't wait to celebrate with you. Snaps. Alien superstar.
Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.